Welcome again to my channel, because today I have another tutorial for you. It is actually the continuation of the started pattern making for a jacket. And today I'm going to show you how you can draw the sleeve for that particular jacket. But you must also know, in case if you do have a pattern already for a coat or for a jacket, for a blazer, but you're not satisfied, as an example, with the sleeve that you have for that particular pattern, then all you have to do is follow me on this video exactly how to do this sleeve. You can make this sleeve of any other pattern that you do have and make a new sleeve for it. The sleeve will be of 2 pieces and it has a very well fit for any kind of jacket or coat. So if you're interested, watch it, follow step by step, and you will see you will have a very good fitting sleeve for any of your jackets and coats. Here we go. Before we start to draw the sleeve, we do need 2 measurements from our body pattern that we do have already. So please, first of all, measure from the front shoulder corner to the chest line, which is, if you don't have it on your pattern, which you will find if you do a connection between the corner where your front seam meets the side seam, right here. You can see this as I draw it here. Then combine this and measure exactly that length. Now do the same with the back. From the corner of the shoulder, measure down to this point. Again, it is the chest line. Measure the lengths. Now, depending on which length of these 2 is slightly higher, then take the higher one. In my case, they are even. And I do have a height here of 22.75 centimeters. What we do with this length later on the drawing, I will explain to you. And one other measurement we need, it is the circle exactly as the sleeve hole is. It's the sleeve hole. So how you measure this? Again, you start on the corner of the shoulder, put your tape measure exactly to there where it will be joined on, where you will be stitching those pieces together. Then take that measurement, go right there to continue to measure to this point. Then take your tape, put it around there, and continue in the round exactly to this corner of the other shoulder, which means you measure from there to there, continue from there to there, and from there to there. In my case, now I do have a measurement of 54 centimeters, and on the drawing of the sleeve, I will explain to you how we work this out.
Start by drawing one straight line in the length as your sleeve should measure later on. In my case, this is 64 centimeters. I mark it on the bottom and I mark it on the top. With a right-angled ruler, I right away on the top make myself a right angle square. With my tape measure from the length that I marked earlier on, I will draw 1.5 centimeters downwards and 1.5 centimeters upwards. Now we need the first measurement, which we took earlier on from the shoulder down to the bust line, which I told you in my case was 22.75. I take this measurement minus 3 centimeters, and then I have a length of 19.75, which I will measure now from the top line that I marked, and I put a mark there, and again with a right-angled ruler I make a line and I extend this line a little bit, the same I do with the top line, so I'm later on don't be short of any. And while I got the ruler in the hand, I also do a line right away across on the bottom mark, which I've done. Now we need the second measurement, which we took earlier on from the armhole. My measurement was 54. I divided by 2 so I get 27, and I add 1 centimeter, which gives me 28 centimeters. Now from this corner on, which I'm pointed out to you here, I put my 28 centimeter measurement right on that point, and I turn the ruler until it meets exactly on 0 up there on the top line, and I make a line from corner to that top line, so the length of that line is 28 centimeters exactly. From that new point on the top, again, I will draw a right angle line down to that first line there. Now I take my tape measure and I divide from the square that top line in half, and on the left side that half again in half. So you got practically 1/2 on the right side and 2/4 on the left side. Again, take a long ruler now and draw a right angled line down. If you're not sure if you're really straight, measure it over again, as you want a real straight line going down now, as this will be the middle line of your sleeve. Now take your tape measure and measure from your actual sleeve length, which we marked in the beginning, to that point above, which I'm pointing out to you. Divide it exactly by half, and then draw 1.5 centimeters above that half point, which means your bottom part is 1.5 centimeters longer, then the other half will be 1.5 centimeters shorter. So draw one in the middle of that length and then 1.5 centimeters up, as that is exactly the line for your elbow. So again, you have to make a right angle line across. From that higher marked point from your sleeve bottom, measure now 2 centimeters to the left and 1/2 centimeter to the right towards inside the sleeve. Now go to your higher mark there. Again, draw 2 centimeters to the left side and 0.5 centimeters to the right. Now on the elbow line, it's the opposite way around. You mark 0.5 centimeters to the left and 2 centimeters to the right, which means towards the inside of the sleeve. Now take one of your tailor curves and find the right curve to make a smooth and easy line over those points you've just marked. You will see this is already then from the inside sleeves for both sleeves the correct line. Even those lines out until you can see that it's really nice and smooth. I just go over here with another pen again so you can see this very well, how these curves are running. And if you're not satisfied, if there's a little corner in it, then smoothen it out. It's not supposed to have corners. It's got to be nice, rounded everywhere. Now take again your tape measure, as we're going to draw the bottom of the sleeve. From that first helping line, the straight line you did, you measure 15.5 centimeters from that corner, from that point, until it meets on the bottom on your straight going across line. 15.5 centimeters from the helping line towards the seam, towards the bottom. Now look at your first helping line going up and measure from that corner upwards 2.5 centimeter. Make a mark there. Now go to your top line, because you remember we marked that quarter there before, and connect those 2 points with each other. That particular line, measure exactly in half and put yourself a mark there on the half, and then combine that last mark with the corner you do have up there. Now measure the length of the right side from this upper square. Divide that length by 3. In my case, I got 9.9 centimeters here. That means to my right, I will mark 6.6 and to my left, 3.3 centimeters. Now look at the right side, that part going down, and divide that length by 4 and mark it on the top down. My case is I have only 20 centimeters there. That means I got about 4.9 centimeter measuring from the top down. And again, I have 2 new points which I can connect with each other with one line going across. And with those points that we have already now, we can start to work out the exact curves for the sleeve. So start down there on the bottom with a slight curve going inwards over that point. Here you're almost on the same line, but as we started out with a curve, go slightly in a curve upwards to the next point. And from that point on to the upper point, we have to make a curve upwards to get the width and the round for the sleeve onto that part. Now look right away which kind of tailor rulers or curves you do have, because I'm sure you will find a perfect one to match, to draw the correct curves for that particular sleeve. In my case, as I have a 1x2 measurements here, these curves are not so ideal, and I will have to do a lot of drawing by hand to get the curve the way I would like it to look. Take your time for this, because it is very important that you do a very good drawing for this particular sleeve. Also here on the next part, we go slightly over the line, and at the same time now, we will also extend it by 2 centimeters over that outer point that we marked there. So put your ruler more or less on the extending curve that you did draw there, and mark it on 2 centimeters outside of that line. Then you need your right angle ruler again, and you can use for doing the right angle the helping line that you have there, and make a mark across. Now remember, when we did the bottom of the sleeve, we measured 50.5 centimeters across. Take that measurement and add 5 centimeters to that, and you will get a measurement of 20.5 centimeters. That we will now draw onto the elbow line, starting again from the helping line to measure it across. So mark from your helping line on the left towards the right 20.5 centimeters, and then mark another 1 centimeter to the left inwards. So you got 2 little marks there on the right side. Now draw 2 lines, which means from each of those points, one down to the corner of the length of your sleeve. And at this particular state, you already can see how the sleeve will be looking like. Now look at your first and your second helping line. Measure this part, divide it by 4. Don't take any of the finished lines. Take this helping line, divide it by 4, and mark 1/4 from the middle line towards the left. Now take your ruler, and from that new point, draw a line to the right corner on the top, right there. And you take your new mark and put a line across. Take your long tailor's curve now, go to the outer line from the elbow line there, and connect it with your top point on the right. Now you can really already recognize the main sleeve part right here. And now it's already quite easy, as we can see if we combine this point now with one of the last drawn points here right on the top. All we have to do is again take our curve, put it onto those 2 points, and mark the line upwards. All we have to do now is combine this last point with that bottom point here on the left, which I'm showing to you. So start to draw it quite flat with a tiny little curve there, and on that line you also more or less go straight up. If you don't find right curves, then take your time and do it by hand. And then look at all your lines again, all your seams which will be there later on. And if you see any funny corners in it, then even them out to make them all smooth, which makes it not only good for sewing, they're also then more or less invisible when you finish that jacket, or better to say that sleeve on the sewing. Go along all lines again, and then you can see that you actually got two parts for the sleeve lying on top of each other. Now that is very important, because you know now the inner one you have to push through and make a second part out of it, because these are sleeve totally separate part that you will need for the sewing. Also, what's very important, do not forget that there isn't any seam allowances yet on those parts that I've showed you how to do them. The way you're looking at these two parts right now is the exact finished size after you've stitched the coat. Now you probably wish to have a little vent on your sleeve, so you can already mark on those two parts from the bottom up 10 centimeters. All the seam allowances, also the ones for the vent, I will explain to you when I show to you how to do and to prepare for the cutting and so on. When you make two separate parts out of this drawing now, do not forget to also put the marks from all your crossings and from your measurements on, because we might need them later to take those points for the front to be able to stitch the sleeve in easily. Well, I guess that is it for now already. I showed you how you can construct exactly the two parts for this sleeve. In my next video to come, I will then show you how to exactly to prepare for all the cutting for the jacket, and which kind of seam allowances you should add on to where. So I hope I get the time very soon for you, and then I'll be back with the next video. For now, I first of all say goodbye to you. I hope you could follow all my steps. Otherwise, please look it over again, because actually it is not so difficult to do this sleeve. If you've done the front and the back and the color already, then I think this is actually the easier part. And whatever, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 goes to really understand everything, but I'm sure you're gonna get it right. So I say goodbye for now and hope you come around very soon again. Okay, goodbye. Until soon, yours, Lilo.